Leaders of tomorrow, leaders of tomorrow, leaders of tomorrow, leaders of tomorrow. We need people to lead with decent morals. Leaders of tomorrow, leaders of tomorrow.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to a new episode of The Leaders of Tomorrow. Now this episode we are going to address Palestine. As we see on the news and the social networks, what's currently going on in this land. And if you're someone that does not care and you're insensitive about this issue, then understand that you are not implementing the great qualities and the great traits of being a leader of tomorrow. As we know, one of the traits of a leader is that you have a sincere care for humanity. A sincere care for humanity. And without doubt, these people are humans, so we must care. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics of Palestine or the politics of Israel. I'm not going to go into the history of Palestine or the history of Israel. I'm not even going to go into the current situation of Palestine or the current situation of Israel. Rather, I want to get into the future of Palestine and the future of Israel. How I'm going to do that is by breaking down to you how this is important for us to be leaders of tomorrow. You might be sitting there thinking, what does Palestine have to do with us being leaders of tomorrow? I'm here to tell you it has everything to do with being a leader of tomorrow. How? Let me explain. Now, we know that the children of today, i.e. us, young people, are the leaders of tomorrow. Now, remember, when I say leaders of the words leading or leader, no. That I do not mean leading a country, leading a nation, or leading a society. It definitely could mean these things, but also the word leader is like the umbrella, and underneath the umbrella it comes being a team leader or being a house leader. You know, we run our homes, we lead in our homes. When we have children, we have to take a leading role. When we're playing football, you know, we have to have a leading role. Whatever we are doing, becoming a manager, you are a leader, whatever it might be. Even if you want to establish your own business, you are a leader. So understand that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Now, once inshallah we become these leaders, we are then able to physically and to financially make a change on the current affairs that are going on around the world. Now, as I said before, the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Okay, what about the leaders of today? They must have been children of yesterday, right? I'm playing with the words here. So the leaders of today, they were children of yesterday, right? Now, just stop right there. Before I go on, I want to apologize in advance. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't mean to be too explicit, but rather we have to bring in some real talk when it's necessary. And without that, I'm going to bring in the real talk now. So if you're not ready for the realness, go on to another channel or do something else. Look, my young brothers and my young sisters, and parents especially, I want you to understand this, that the leaders that believe that it's okay to kill innocent civilians within their hundreds and thousands must have a disgusting, corrupted, cold heart. They must be cold inside. Now, those leaders as children, perhaps they were bullied in their childhood. Perhaps they were molested in their childhood. Perhaps they experienced or saw things that they were not meant to see as children. Perhaps, and then thus they grow into these type of leaders that we see today that are doing these types of things where they don't even flinch at the fact that They are responsible of killing innocent babies, children, teenagers, women, and innocent men. They don't flinch. Perhaps something happened to them as children. So I want us to understand that us as young people, we need to make sure that we are, number one, protecting ourselves from being harmed by the many harms that are out there in the world. So parents, please ensure and make sure that you as parents are protecting your children from these evil things that are out there in the world, i.e. abuse on your child, whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, or sexual abuse. These things have an impact on children. And sometimes, as we see, when these things have happened, or when children experience these things, they grow up into individuals that are spiteful. They grow up into individuals that are very harsh, that are insensitive, that have cold hearts, i.e. as we see today. Or, on the flip side, children that do experience this, they could grow up a bit unstable. Or on the other side, they could grow up into individuals that try their level best to protect other people from going through that harm. So my young people, if you do not have parents that are trying to instill in you ideal qualities, noble traits and characteristics, you still have a duty to make sure you as an individual are going out there and trying your level best to extract great traits and great qualities from noble leaders such as Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa. Read their stories, go on YouTube, learn their stories, learn their life journeys, and hear their biographies, and take in their good traits and instill them within yourselves. So by the time you grow and become that manager, by the time you grow and become that team leader, by the time you grow and become that leader of a nation, a society, or a country, you are someone that has these noble traits and qualities within you. And thus, when you have that role, they blossom. They blossom, and you would not even dare come close or even think to do the certain things that the current leaders or those corrupted leaders are doing today, i.e. killing children. I hope I've made that clear. As we know, there are good leaders in history, and there have been bad leaders in history. I've just named a few to you. I was just merely touching the surface. Now, most of the time I'm talking about good leaders, but as we know, a good way to prove something is by bringing up its opposite, right? So I showed you the great leaders: Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa. But let's show you what will happen if we are not great leaders by showing you an individual who is completely opposite to those. And this man's name is Hitler. Now, he was a leader of his nation, and the things he done were very disgusting and despicable. His heart grew cold out of rage and pain and anger for certain reasons, but he let that out on innocent people, the Jews. And he almost wiped out the whole nation of Jews. Gone. Now, I did say I don't want to go into the current situation of Palestine and Israel, but unfortunately, the Zionist regime think it is okay to become and to implement pretty much the exact same thing that Hitler done. The exact same thing that the world saw. We study this in school. We study the life of Hitler and the horrible things he done in school. The exact same thing the world promised and strived their level best to never ever experience again. These people called Zionists have decided to implement the exact same kind of ideology that Hitler had done, and they're actually implementing it. And who are at the end of the bullets? Who are at the end of these people's power? The Palestinians. So there you go. there's a perfect example of someone who was not far from perfect. There's a perfect example of a horrible, corrupt, disgusting and spiteful, cold leader. Is this the type of people we want in our world today? No, we don't. My young brothers and my young sisters, I want you to grow up and become leaders like Nelson Mandela. I want us to grow up and become leaders like Malcolm X. I want us to grow up and become leaders like Martin Luther King, like Mother Teresa, and make a positive change. It does not take for you to be corrupt to be a leader. Rather, it takes for you to be courageous. It takes for you to be courageous and to stand up for humanity. Stand up and be just. Stand up for what's right. You can't be strong and wrong, but when you're right, you can stand up and fight and strive with might. So please, my brothers and sisters, I have to bring up this issue that if you are experiencing, if you are being bullied, if you are facing any abuse, you need to stand up for yourself. Stop relying on anybody else to come and help you. Stand up yourself and speak out against it. Go out and get help. Go and speak to someone. I'm not saying come and speak to me, but go and speak to someone so they can help you. Because it's not just going to stop there whilst you're at this age, you know, and that person's going to go away. It leaves an effect in you. It leaves an actual effect on you. And many times we see these people that are sexually molested, we see these people that are sexually abused or mentally abused or physically abused. It has a psychological effect. And that psychological effect harms society. Why? Because sometimes that individual who suffered at the hands of horrible people, they grow up and think the world is cold and I'm going to take out my anger on everybody else around me. And it seems, unfortunately, the current leaders that think it's okay to kill children, it seems that that's what happened to them. It seems that's what happened to them. Now, if you want to stop this great harm, like I said, first we lead ourselves. We lead ourselves first, and then we try to lead those people around us. So again, lead yourself, take responsibility of yourself, take responsibility of your situation, and understand that you can make a change. So put a stop to these bad things happening to you now. Try your level best to put a stop to it so you can, make that change and become a great leader of tomorrow. My brothers and my sisters, just to conclude and to wrap up, understand that we can make a change. We are the leaders of tomorrow. We need to make a change now so we can be and blossom tomorrow with these great traits that we extract within us. Also understand that to be a great leader is to care about humanity, regardless of religion, race, colour, society. Another great trait of a leader is that just because a group of people are a different religion or a different race does not mean that we can take out our anger on them. We cannot take out our frustration on them. No, we need to make sure that we are just individuals and we lead with justice and care. Also, to wrap up, please, my brothers and sisters, make sure that you really have in the mindset that we are the leaders of tomorrow. I'm your brother Shakeel Romero, aiming to make our young people become these great leaders of tomorrow with the noble traits and the noble qualities of the great leaders of yesterday.
Leaders of tomorrow. We need people to lead with decent morals. Leaders of tomorrow. Leaders of tomorrow.